Hello guys, welcome back to my word processing class using Microsoft Office Word for advanced users. Day 2. I remain your ever joyous facilitator, Sakawaka, spelled Sakawaka. I have 4 A's in my name. Wonderful. Okay, so for the day 2 of our advanced class, we'll be looking at table of contents and footnotes under references. Under references, I know most of you haven't touched references before, but here today we'll be taking a dive into it by starting with table of contents and then looking at footnote for our day 2. Now, before I commence, let me state that this document I want to use, I got it from this website, which is um, toppr.com. I refuse to take out the website URL so that in case you want to use the document, you can go check it out, and to also say thank you to the owner of the website for putting up a very nice write-up on the history of computers, which I'll be using for this class today. So I'll leave this here. I hate plagiarism. That is why I'm giving credence to the owners of this document. The whole of this I got from that website. I did not type them, but someone did, and that person is the owner of this website. So today we'll be creating table of content, especially for those writing university project, thesis, and dissertation. Table of content is one thing you can't do without, and even while you are writing, in fact, table of content is very important. I don't think at any point that you want to do without them. It's very easy for us to do, so I'll be diving into it straight ahead. Now, for you to create your table of content is very easy, very, very easy. The first thing you want to do is to identify the headings that will appear in your table of content, and that will be doing from here under styles. I remember when I was taking this in the beginners class, I said that we'll come back to it, and here we are. We've returned to the styles. So I will highlight the headings. This one should be like my heading 1, which is like my main heading. Heading 1, history of computer, and then what is computer should be my heading 2. Yes, early computing devices should be heading 2 also. Abacus, because this is a subset of the early computing devices, I'm putting my abacus to be heading 3, the Napier's bones to be heading 3. I'll come down here. I have the Pascal line here. This also should be heading 3. Yes, heading 1 is the major heading. Heading 2 is like the subheading, and then heading 3 is under heading 2 in that hierarchical order. Then the stepped record now should be heading 2 because it is under that same topic of heading 2. It should be heading 3 rather. So my difference engine should be heading 3. Analytical engine heading 3, which in references you have add text here. You can see level 1, 2, 3. This one stops at level 3, which is heading 3. But here under heading, if you click on heading 3 now, you see heading 4. And if you click on heading 4, you see heading 5. That means you can continue to have subheadings, which from here you are limited to just level 3. So depending on what you want, you can add your text to a level 1, 2, 3, or you can come to home and then use heading 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on what you want. So this now, I will maintain it to be heading 3. My tabulating machine also heading 3 because I know that under the same heading. My differential analyzer heading 3. My Mark 1 also heading 3. This is the first thing we are doing now, trying to create our table of contents. Now, history of computer generation should be heading 2. Yes, history of computer generations should be heading 2. Based on my own logic, should be heading 2. And then early history of computer, this should be heading 3 because it is under that heading. And then let me go on. Generations of computers. Is this another heading? Let me see. Any history of computers. Okay, it is. It is under it. So heading 3. Heading 3, generations of computers. And I don't want to go. Okay, let me take them like the first generations. First generation. Let me make this heading 4 so that you understand it better. Heading 4. Second generation. The second generation now. Heading 4. Now, know why I'm using the various headings so that you get to understand how they look by the time I start the table of contents. Heading 4. My third generation. Heading 4. My fourth and fifth generation. Generations, heading 4. Heading 4 here. My fifth generation. My fifth generation, heading 4. Let me take this. Let me take this. Now, brief history of computers. Brief history of computers. I keep having brief history of computers. God. Let me take this 19th century, heading 3. 20th century, heading 3. Let me see. Now, anything late 20th century, anything you want to add to your table of contents, you just click and continue adding them to headings. You just click and keep adding them to headings. Wow, this document is massive. Types of computers, this should be heading 2. Analog, heading 3. Digital, heading 3. Where's hybrid? Oh, okay, they broke them, so this should be heading 4. Please be patient and just watch it for your own good. And it's very important to do this calmly as I'm doing it so you can follow through. Heading 4 here. 4, yeah. Microcomputers. Heading 4. In fact, let me. Heading 4. And then my fax now, heading 1. Heading 1 because it is not under the history. It is on its own. And that is the end. That is the end of the document, and which me I'm done with them. Let me highlight all of them and give them a uniform font size, font 14. Yes, font 14. At this point, now I know you're asking, so where's the table of content? You click on references. Remember, we've added the text to various levels. There you have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. But here you are limited to just level 1, 2, 3. So depending on what you want, level 1 representing heading 1, level 2 heading 2, and level 3 heading 3. So once I have that, I can now bring my cursor up, click on table of contents, let it load, and there I can now choose any of these. For example, automatic table 2. and then I'll click on it. And here I have my table of content. You see how simple it is. You see how easy it is. So here now I have my heading 1. Now look at the layout. Heading 1, heading 2, and heading 3. You see it, and this is heading 2 again. Heading 3, heading 2, heading 3, heading 2, and so on. And if I don't want that, let me click. I want my automatic table 1. Want my heading 1. So once I click, you see it automatically creates my table of what? My table of content, just by clicking on table of content and then choosing automatic table 1 or 2. And here I have my heading 1, my heading 2, my heading 3. You can see them in that order. History of computers can be found in page 1. Normally, I'm not supposed to have this content with my table of content, this. So I'll move it to another page. Now that I've moved them to another page, let me increase the font size also to 14. Yeah. Now that I have moved them to another page, here, if you look at it now, history of computers is no longer in this, my page 1. This is my page 1 now. So what I can do is I can come to my references and just update my table of content. I will update the page number. And then I can see my history of computers is now in my page 2. If I add anything to my table of content, if I want to add anything, what can I add now? What can I add? Let me see. Okay, let me say I want to add this now. This 1801. Let me say I want to add it, and I want to add it to level 3, for example. Now, what I'll do is, since I've added it to a level, it will not just reflect in my table of content here. So what I'll do, I'll come to update table and then click on update entire table. Then I will OK it. And then you can now see it here, added to my 1801. The whole of this was what I added, that it's in page 6. Let me increase the font size again to 14, to page font 14. So you can see it clearly. You can see it now. So this is how the table of contents works. All you need to do is to add them to levels, level 1 to 3, or you come to heading 1 to 3. Once you are done adding them, converting them to headings or levels, you just come to references and click on table of content, and your table of content will be created for you. Yeah. So we are done with that for now. The next thing we want to look at is footnotes. Here is footnote. Now, what is a footnote? A footnote, basically, you use it to add a note at the bottom of the page, providing more information about something in your document. Now, those in the legal sector, they use this quite a lot. I remember when a lawyer was running his MSc in law, and then the secretary messed up the document because the secretary doesn't know how to insert footnote and endnote. And instead of using footnote and endnote, the secretary used the text box, to just number them and so on. And when it was time for her to edit, it was a mess. The lawyer had to come into his chamber, and then I had to start everything afresh using footnote and endnote. And of course, he was charged quite a sum of money for that. I think the document was up to 200 and something pages. So to avoid such, it's important that you take note of the footnote and end note. Okay, for Christians, yes, because I'm very sure of this. Sometimes when you read your Bible, you will see a number, a superscript number on top of a particular name or something. And down that same page, you will now see that number with an explanation. Now, that is a footnote. And there are some that you will just see, let's say, an alphabet or so on a word, and then you see it at the end of the Bible. Like when you open to the back of your Bible, you now see the explanation to that alphabet you saw. Now, that is end notes. So they are both used to add a note at the bottom of the page, providing more information about something in your document. That is for footnote. And then for endnote, it adds a note like a comment or citation, providing more information about something in your document. Superscript numbers referring to endnotes are added to your text. Now, history of computer. Let me use footnote for example. Now, I want to provide more information about this history of computers, or for example, computers, for example. Here we have history of computers. I did not define computer. So if I want to add more to it, I'll click on footnotes. Now, take a look at this. I have superscript 1 here. Did you see it here? And down here, I have 1 explaining that computer. So I can now say, okay, computer is an electronic device. For example, if this is the information I want to add, is an electronic device that accepts data, processes data, and gives feedback to the computer user as information or output. Do you see it? Yeah. Now, let's say I want to add a footnote. I want to talk about abacus, for example. Yes, abacus. I'll just click on footnote. You see, automatically it gives me 2, right? Now, footnote, I can now say, okay, what is abacus? Abacus is actually a counting device, a counting device developed by the Chinese. Do you see it? So this 1 is for the computer, this 2 is for this 2 here. And my explanation is coming at the end of that particular page. If I should come here now, say I want to add a footnote to, let's say, let me look at something else I can add a footnote to, because let me say I want to add a footnote to this history now. I'll click on it. Now, watch something. Because this history comes before the computer, it automatically numbers this history as 1, change this 1 to 2, and then the abacus down here is being changed to 3, which makes it very easy. And of course, you can see the 1 is the first thing here, pushing this computer down. So history, this is a record of past events. Just put it simply. So all these now are extra information to what I have here, which is history. What is history? Record of past events. What is computer? Computer is this. Just extra comments to my work added to the bottom of my page. I'm sure you've seen something like this, especially to Christians. If you are used to legal documents, you surely have seen this. For citations and theses, you probably have seen something like this. And for those that don't know how to use them, it's not really their fault. Probably it's because they've not learned from a very good teacher like myself, Sakawaka. So you see how easy it is to use footnotes. Now, what happens if I want to remove any of the footnotes? Now, if I delete the footnotes, now look here. for this 3 now, I just backspace it. You see, automatically it is gone from this footnote. It is gone. So for the lady the secretary talked about, she used the text boxes, which means if she deleted this now, she will still have to come down here to delete the text box she used in inserting it, which is a whole lot of stress, and it takes a lot of calculation to know that okay, this one is for this. But with footnote, it's very easy. If I should say okay, devices now, I add footnote. These 3, you see the 3 is automatically um added. Devices in this concept are electronic gadgets, in short. Now, this is my footnote at the bottom of that very page. Now, what of EndNote? EndNote is EndNote appears at the end of the document. For example, machine, for example, if I add an EndNote to this machine, insert EndNote. Now you see that the EndNote, this is the end of the document, page 13. Why what I added it to is, you can see it's in page 2. It's in page 2. Where is itself? Machine. Did you see? But it comes down with Roman numeral to the end of the document, which is the difference between them. So I can write anything as my EndNote. You see it now? So that is how it works. If I come up here and then I say, okay, the Napier's bones, I now add an EndNote to it. I insert EndNote. You see, it comes with II, and then I can now type whatever I want. So the difference between EndNote and footnote is that footnote is inserted at the bottom of that very page, while EndNote is inserted in the last page of the document. When you insert your EndNote, the explanation or the comment will go to the last page of the document. That is just the difference between the EndNote and then the footnotes. And they are very, very easy to create, as you can see. So try to work with them, try to see how they work. My next footnote, and then continue taking you there. Like this is the last footnote, and that is it. That is why it is no longer moving. So that is it for, let me view my EndNote, and then click on it. You see my EndNote here. Let me see my EndNote. Now you see them. So that is it for EndNote and footnote. So for the day 2, don't forget that we looked at table of content, and for us to create our table of content, you have to convert your headings, your what you want to use as your table of content, convert them to headings in your home tab, or you come to references and convert them to levels. After that, you just click on table of content, and automatically it will be created where you want it. And then for footnote and EndNote, footnote is used to insert comments at the bottom of the very page you insert it, while EndNote goes to the end of your document. And guys, that is it for our day 2. I'm very excited knowing that you are making progress. I'm really blessed to have you. Yes, I'm really blessed to have you putting in all the effort and resources to make sure that you improve into becoming a professional user of Microsoft Office Word. If there's anything you don't understand, please let me know, and then I will come down to explain better to you, probably with a personalized video if it will be necessary for me to give you further explanations. I will do so. And that is to tell you just how important you are to me. I value you. You are one of a kind. In fact, if I see you personally, I won't forget to give you a very big hug. And I can't say it, I can't overemphasize it that I love you. Thank you for choosing me as the facilitator to take you through this process of becoming a professional user of Microsoft Word. I remain your joyous facilitator, Sakawaka. Please keep on practicing to make Perfect.